Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something, well, most of us use everyday social media, but we're focusing specifically on its significant role for Black women, especially around relationships and connection.
Right.
Now, you might think it's just social media, casual scrolling, but we're really aiming to unpack why it might be much more impactful for this group.
Exactly. It's not just about watching conversations happen online. We're actually digging into some data, some analysis to see the real impact.
And where's this info coming from?
So for this, we're drawing from a YouTube video transcript from Medium Man. It analyzes various reports, website stats. It offers a pretty interesting angle.
Okay, good stuff. So let's just jump right in. This whole idea that social media is like separate from real life.
Yeah, that gets challenged pretty quickly here.
Definitely. One of the first things that caught my eye was this stat. 80% of Black women own smartphones.
Wow.
Which is already high, but then you see it's 8% higher than smartphone ownership for non-Hispanic white women.
And that difference, it suggests something important, doesn't it?
Yeah, what does it suggest to you?
Well, it points straight towards, potentially higher access, maybe more engagement with social media, if you've got the phone right there.
Right. The likelihood goes up.
Exactly.
And the source also notes Black women make up about 7.5% of the U.S. population. So that higher ownership rate within a, smaller demographic percentage.
It really underlines the potential influence, the reach within that community.
Yeah.
It's not some tiny niche online.
Not at all. It sounds like a very connected group.
Very. And it's not just having the phone. It's where they're connecting. The source points heavily to Facebook. Says it's the top social network for Black women.
And the number?
72%.
72%. That's huge. The video even used an example, didn't it?
Yeah, Country Wayne, a content creator, apparently really big on Facebook, puts out loads of content daily.
And his primary audience?
Black women. It really kind of paints a picture, doesn't it? How central a platform like Facebook can become for a specific community.
Absolutely. More than just checking on friends. It's a hub.
It's a hub. And the source goes deeper than just usage numbers. It brings in some academic work, too.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. A 2023 study, PubMed and Sage Journals.
That's the one. It looked at the connection between how integrated social media is in Black women's lives and potential social media addiction.
Interesting. What was the main finding there?
Basically, the more social media was woven into daily life, they called it social media use integration, the stronger the link they found to addictive patterns.
So more use, more integration, potentially stronger addiction links.
That's the gist of it, yeah.
Now, the study itself, I think it was 354 Black American women, average age around 24.
Correct. And the source acknowledges, some might say that's limited.
Right, maybe not fully representative of all Black women.
But the researchers suggested, interestingly, that even with a bigger, more age-diverse group, the results might actually be similar. Just a suggestion, but noted.
And does that line up with other data like general usage trends?
It seems to. The source mentions Pew Research data from 2017 and 2021. It consistently showed young adult Black women are among the highest users of social media in the U.S.
So the study's focus on younger women makes sense in that context.
It reinforces the idea that these platforms are pretty central for many Black women, especially younger ones.
And it's not just about being on the platforms, right? The source mentioned this idea of connectedness.
Yes. Emotional, relational connections, finding social support, even this concept of a hive mind.
Okay, hive mind. What does that actually mean here? Is it like groupthink?
Not necessarily negative like groupthink often implies, more like a shared consciousness almost, a rapid exchange of ideas, experiences, perspectives within that online community.
So a place for support, validation.
Exactly. Finding people who get your specific experiences as a Black woman. And yeah, the hive mind part suggests ideas can spread fast, opinions can form and get amplified within that network.
Gotcha. Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting with the specific example. The Shade Room, TSR on Instagram.
Oh yeah. The numbers here are something else.
The source uses the phrase unparalleled reach among Black adults. What was the percentage following TSR on Instagram?
An incredible 91%.
91. That's almost everyone.
It's massive saturation.
Yeah.
Hard to even process.
And it's not passive following either. The engagement numbers, what were they again?
Over 3 million average unique website visitors monthly. 1.9 billion monthly video views. And a total social reach over 61 million per month.
Billion with a B.
With a B. It shows a really active audience. They're not just following, they're watching, clicking, engaging.
And the follower count now is around 29.3 million.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
And the key age groups in that audience,
Yeah.
25-34 and 35-44.
Which, as the source points out, are prime ages for relationship discussions, dating, marriage talk, all that.
Exactly. So huge platform, massive reach in the target demographic, especially in those relationship-focused ages.
And the gender split.
Well, 40.5% male, 59.5% female. So predominantly women, but a significant male presence too.
Okay, so here's where the source, or rather the person in the video, does some math. It's quite eye-opening.
Yeah, walk us through that calculation again.
Okay, so if 91% of those 29.3 million followers are Black adults, that's roughly 26.6 million Black people. Then, if 59.5% of those are women, you get about 15.8 million Black women aged 18 plus following the shade room.
15.8 million. Okay.
Now, compare that to U.S. Census data.
Yeah.
It estimates around 18.6 million Black women over 18 in the U.S. total.
Wait, if you compare 15.8 million to 18.6 million.
The calculation suggests potentially something like 85% of all Black women over 18 in the U.S. could be following the shade room.
85%.
Now, big caveat, right? The source is clear. This is back-of-the-envelope math. It's approximate, not peer-reviewed.
Absolutely. Truthful disclaimer. But even as a rough estimate, wow.
Right. Even if it's off by a bit, it still suggests an absolutely enormous influence. If that high a percentage is engaging with one platform.
It has to be a major space for reflecting community opinions, maybe even shaping them, especially on topics TSR covers constantly, like relationships.
Can you think of any other single place, online or off, that has that kind of concentrated reach within this specific demographic?
Honestly, it's hard to imagine. Maybe certain TV networks historically, but for ongoing daily conversation, this seems unique.
Totally. And the source used that example, that viral question, something about a man falling asleep while his friend drives.
Yeah, seemed kind of lighthearted on the surface.
But the point was how even those seemingly small viral moments can reflect and maybe even influence broader perceptions and conversations about behavior, expectations, all amplified across this massive network.
It shows how the platform acts like a mirror, but maybe also a bit of a magnifying glass for certain trends or viewpoints.
So it really drives home that point. When such a huge slice of a demographic is plugged into one specific online space,
it stops being just an online space. It becomes a significant cultural force, a major arena for discussion, trends, opinions on relationships, and probably a lot more.
So the big takeaway really is that dismissing social media as trivial, especially for Black women, seems like a huge mistake based on this.
Absolutely. This deep dive shows it's, well, a vital platform for connection, yes, but also for information, for opinion formation, for reflecting what the community is thinking about, especially around relationships. It's deeply integrated.
Yeah, it's clearly a central part of the landscape.
And it really makes you, the listener, consider the broader implications, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if social media, and maybe platforms like TSR specifically, reach such a vast percentage of Black women, how does that change how we understand other things? Their perspectives on issues, maybe consumer behavior, political engagement even. What else is being shaped there?
That's a powerful question to end on. If that many people are potentially in one digital room listening and talking,
Right.
What other big conversations are being amplified and maybe even directed from that space?
Definitely something to think about.
Indeed. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.